Hello and welcome to another edition of Health Solutions with Shawn and Janet Needham, where Team Needham discusses everything healthcare. I'm your host, Shawn Needham, along with my wonderful wife, Janet, and we are streaming live from Manchester, Vermont. We are scheduled to hit Manchester, New Hampshire, and Maine this weekend, which will conclude 49 states of the 50 states of the United States, and then we're going to finish out with Hawaii in January, and we'll have been to all 50 states. And it is, of course, beautiful here in the fall. Everybody talks about going to the New England states in the fall, and it just we didn't really plan it this way. It worked out beautifully, and it is just amazingly beautiful back here, up here. We are going up on Stratton Mountain later today. I'm going to ride the gondola, and I guess the colors are just gorgeous up there. Weather's been beautiful. It's kind of overcast, mostly sunny now. Sun's coming out, and we're going to enjoy a little bit of nature today. We're going to hike around. We're going to meet some friends. We're going to hike the mountain, and we're going to do some other calisthenics type movements while we're doing it. Janet, will you talk about what we did already this morning and what we're planning on maybe doing later today?
Right. So we went for a little walk this morning just to stretch after traveling, of course, but just a nice little way to get your heart rate up. And then we used our parking lot and grass in the back of the bed and breakfast to do some exercises, did some Spider-Man push-ups, some squats, just our own weight, twists. What else did we do? We did
one-legged deadlifts.
Yep. So just nothing heavy, just our own body. But, we did a set of 10 of each twice. And before you know it, you're outside and it's beautiful, and it didn't take very long, and it seemed like it was over and nothing flat. So it wasn't a hard workout, but, that's not what it's all about. What it's all about is getting out there and actually doing something and moving. And actually, we really enjoyed it because the sun started coming out and it was beautiful. And so, yeah, that's how we started our morning.
Well, you can keep it really simple. It doesn't have to be anything complicated. And I think that's one of the barriers that some people use is that, well, I don't have a gym close to me, or I don't have the right equipment. And, when Jan and I travel, we don't make sure what kind of gym that the place has. And this is like a bed and breakfast that we're staying at. And it doesn't have anything. So when we found out that last night when we checked in, it was no big deal. And we didn't, there are some things that you can do. We've talked about it before on our show. You can travel with exercise bands. Right. We didn't do that. And no harm, no foul, doesn't matter. That doesn't mean we can't work out. We just did something different. So we went for a walk and did some of those exercises. And we'll do that today when we're walking the mountain. We'll actually hike the mountain, and you can not just walk, but and even though we're not going to be in gym clothes or outside because it's just too cold to be in gym type clothes outside right now. We can jog, then walk, there's a lot of different things that you can do just to keep your body moving and your heart rate up. It's not that complicated. You don't have to make it that complicated.
No, I think one of the things too is just try to enjoy yourself, because when we talk about exercise, people start having kind of this mental block. And really, if you're outside doing things, there's no reason why you can't stretch and do some resistance. And like Shawn said, some more vigorous than not. And even if you are like hiking, obviously there's going to be places that are a little bit more intense than others, but just do it. That's half of it. The old Nike commercial, just do it. And moving is important, because once we aren't moving, then things start slowing down.
Yeah. It's just physics. What is that? A body in motion tends to stay in motion. That's just plain physics. And if you think about, the term exercise or the term working out is really a fairly new phenomenon. It's a new term. It's, 75, 80 years ago, nobody scheduled time at the gym. Nobody really worked out. They did it with their day-to-day lives. They walked around a ranch when they were taking care of their animals. They lifted hay bales, taking care of their animals. It was their day, or they swung a hammer for 8 hours a day. Imagine that you don't have to go to a gym if you're swinging a hammer all day. And whether it be a big sledgehammer pounded on railroad ties, or whether it be just a a little carpenter hammer. If you're moving all day, you just don't need to do extra exercise.
But the nice thing about being outside is there's just something different about how nature stimulates our brain. I mean, we were meant to enjoy the outdoors, the trees, the grass, the smells, the birds, all of it. It just stimulates different neurotransmitters. And I think that's one of the reasons why, it doesn't seem like it took very long to do the whole little program that we did, is because you're outside interacting with the world, and the nature of just the senses in your brain, I think, are just amazing. The sun's out, just all those things are really important to our overall health. So if you can, get outside.
Yeah, not just neurotransmitters, but vitamin D.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Also with the sunlight. And, when you schedule it in your day-to-day activity, instead of saying, well, I'm going to go to the gym for an hour today, instead, if you say, well, we're going to go hike on Stratton Mountain. And then, every 10 minutes or so, stop and do 10 push-ups, and, think about that. Then, you're not really scheduling it where it takes an hour out of your day.
Right.
So even though you get all the activity in, it doesn't seem as much of a daunting task. Janet?
Well, I think the other thing too is that, we make a barrier because we make it such a routine. And I'm not saying that routines aren't important, because they are. Consistency is what's important, really. But you can make it fun. You can change it up. And I think that's one of the points of today's podcast, is that, we don't have to be in that box all the time, because we can actually enjoy something and it doesn't seem like it is such a task, or it's such a, oh my gosh, I got to pack my gym clothes, and I got to drive, and, scheduling the time. Just make something more enjoyable for yourself. And, Shawn and I do that too. When we ride bike, we change up our scenery. We don't make it the same. I mean, sometimes we have to, but changing the scenery and getting outside, I think, is more enjoyable.
Absolutely. And I should have, when I started this podcast, for those of you that were expecting Carolyn Powers to be on our podcast today, she is in England, actually, and her house flooded like a little over an hour ago. And so she messaged me and said that she cannot do the podcast because her electronics are not working, because her house flooded. So we're going to reschedule her. Carolyn Pover. She actually is a person that was vaccine injured, and she's going to be talking about her story. She's written a couple books on it too. And I'm excited to reschedule her and have her tell her story, as always. Janet, do you want to recap how the Medical Freedom Conference went in Spokane last weekend?
So last weekend was, it was so much fun. It was so full of people that had stories to share, but also just strategizing and learning from each other on what has worked and what we can do moving forward. And it was very empowering to see so many faces that, even amidst the controversy and the pushback, who took care of patients and saved lives, even though it meant perhaps their license might be questioned, or they might have allegations put towards them, or what do they call that, honey, when they complaint scheduled. But that being said, they these doctors and practitioners, like nurse practitioners and nurses, were all strategizing together and working together towards improving healthcare in a positive way, so we can keep the patient doctor and patient healthcare professional relationship healthy moving forward, and still being independent from outside influences, people that tell us how to prescribe that aren't prescribers. And, as pharmacists, we really honor that, because we work underneath the license of a doctor and a nurse practitioner or PA. I mean, they should be in charge of helping the model for patients' wellness or taking care of them. And when outside influences have came in, it's been negative for some, but these folks have overcome a lot. And the fun part about it is that, people aren't taking it laying down. the cool thing is there's legal help out there now for some of these providers, and nobody is like, we're going home and we're not going to do this. They're all in because, even like Dr. Edgerly said, he knew from the time he was 10 years old that he wanted to be a doctor and take care of people. So this is who they are and their purpose and their heart. And so it was super exciting. It was a lot of information, but also encouraging when we have people even that joined in. And one of our guest speakers was the NBA player, John Stockton, who, is walking alongside healthcare providers and medical freedom, because it's not just about people who work in the industry. It's about everybody's right and choice about what we are allowed or can do for our own body, which to me, if we lose that right, I think we're in a world of hurt.
Yeah. I mean, people should have own autonomy over their bodies.
Right.
They should not be mandated to do any kind of medical procedure against their will.
Right.
And healthcare professionals should give proper informed consent, and they should tell patients what the risks are versus the benefits of any kind of procedure or treatment. Right. And as you guys may or may not know, during COVID, the government created pandemic, that wasn't happening.
No.
There were just mandates. It's like, no, you either do this or you lose your job, or you can't go into a restaurant or things like that. And it's like, and a lot of people weren't being told what those risks were, and the risks were, you're seeing some of it now. People that have had many side effects from the COVID-19 mRNA shots.
Well, it's not that if we're talking about pharmaceuticals and medical modalities and even procedures, there's always a risk. And so people should be, like Shawn said, informed of what their risk is versus perhaps maybe where they are as an individual in their health. And I think that's one of the things that was just taken out of the equation, is that everybody was put in the same box and therefore you had to do the same thing for everybody. But maybe that didn't apply. Like one of our speakers, Kelly Victory, she actually has a anaphylactic reaction to certain vaccines. And so, we can't tell somebody who is in that situation that you have to do this. And, oh, by the way, just because you're in the hospital, that's okay for us to maybe try this procedure and see if you have another anaphylactic reaction, but okay, we're going to save you. I mean, that just doesn't make sense. So, we were just talking about the fact that, informed consent is super important, because we should ultimately be in control of what choices we are doing for our own body as well as our own families and children. So that's part of it, being able to talk to someone face to face and actually say things. And there was actually a nurse in the audience who was sharing with her patients different things that they could do at home when they contracted a viral infection. And she actually was put on probation for actually telling them how to take care of themselves when they got home. Whether you agree with that treatment or not is not what we're talking about. What we're saying is that people should have the right for the freedom of sharing with clients and patients what they think might be optimal for them. The client gets to choose when they go home or in their stay at a hospital what treatment is optimal for them. And that's kind of what was taken out of the equation.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately that's what we've been fighting for is it's about personal patient confidentiality and personal patient autonomy. Ultimately, patients should have the choice. And our goal, as always, at our pharmacy is to educate and empower individuals to take charge of their own health.
Right.
And that reminds me, we actually yesterday celebrated 25 years of doing that. 25 years ago yesterday, we opened the doors of Moses Lake Professional Pharmacy, and we have never looked back. We left we were both working for corporate America, so to speak, left a very both of us had comfortable jobs, making a good living, put into 401ks, had healthcare benefits and all that stuff. And we decided that we wanted to practice in a different kind of model. So we left that comfort and stepped out and opened our own pharmacy. And we have never looked back. And we are so glad that we did.
Yeah, I'm very thankful. And one of the discussions that we had at this conference was courage. And sometimes I think, like Shawn says, we were comfortable, but we weren't happy. there's a difference. We weren't happy with the type of care that we could offer or the services that we could offer to people. And, that was the one thing about this conference is, we listened to how these medical doctors, reached out of their comfort zone and actually got to their clients, whether it meant that they treated somebody in their car or they treated somebody in their home. I mean, how care looks to different individuals that are giving healthcare is totally different. So for Shawn and I, it was super important that we actually encourage wellness, because we felt like the model still today does not appreciate the fact that individuals can actually make decisions on making healthy choices, because food, rest, exercise are medicine to our body. And for whatever reason, we think that drugs are the only answer. What is it that Robbie Ross says?
A pill for every ill.
Yeah, a pill for every ill, which actually is just false. It's not true. Many times, our body will heal on its own if we give it what it naturally needs. So, that's one of the things that is so fun for Shawn and I, is to see people actually take things and do things that they could do on their own that didn't really always cost a lot of money. It was just common sense tips to encourage healthy lifestyles.
And speaking of that, our podcast Monday, regular scheduled podcast, 12:30 to 1:30 Pacific Standard Time, we will have Jennifer Woodward back on our podcast, and she'll be talking about PCOS and dietary modifications to treat PCOS. If you've ever heard of PCOS, never heard of PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, it's not really named well, but it's a hormone imbalance that women get, and they have cycling issues. They can have a problem getting pregnant and things like that. And many times, most times, lifestyle modifications are needed for any disease, actually. PCOS is no different. So even if you do add some kind of drug, lifestyle modification is probably going to be part of the therapy, or should be part of the therapy.
Right. That's the thing. I think for us is that it's very powerful for people to be able to do things on their own that make big changes, whether it would be dietary changes, dealing with stress. I mean, just so many different things that people can do without that pill. And I'm not saying, and Shawn and I have said this before, sometimes it's required, and we understand that, we get that. But there's also the benefit of knowing that you can do something else that makes big impacts in people's lives, and not giving them the tools to do this was something that we saw an open door with. And so we're super excited to have guests on that can also help encourage and actually give some information to people so they can make their own choices. Absolutely.
Super excited to have her on again. I think it's her second time, maybe third. We've got her scheduled for some other topics too in the future. If you don't follow us on social media, please do, because we can give you lots of tips like on nature therapy and quick tips on working out. We're big believers. We're two pharmacists that don't believe in medications to treat most long-term disease. We believe in lifestyle modifications and sleep and exercise and diet, and how powerful those things are in our lives, and use those as tools to fix your body. So if you don't follow us on social media, do. I'm Shawn Needham. You can follow me on LinkedIn. You can follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and our YouTube site, and Moses Lake Professional Pharmacy YouTube site. We have over 2,000 educational videos on topics just like this. So please follow us, comment, reach out to us. We do try to answer all those questions, please. And as always, it's been a pleasure talking to you today. Please tune in Monday, 12:30 to 1:30 Pacific Standard Time for our regular scheduled podcast. And thank you for watching Health Solutions with Shawn and Janet Needham. Thank you.